Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is 8:02. Of course, 8 o'clock. You know how we do this thing. So good to see all of you. Tell somebody, say, hey, sexy, good stuff. How y'all doing? It's so good to see all of you. Come on, come on, come on into the room. Click like, click share. I know you're trying to squeeze your last little bit of summer heat and all of that vacation in, but you know, it's kind of getting to that fall, right? And it's kind of getting to that place where we need to like reconnect, right? Come on. Hey, sexy, good stuff. Go ahead, be great. Do what you love. You will way more. You are way more than enough, so go ahead and be great and stuff. So hey, sexy, good stuff. So good to see all of you. Good evening. I'm your host, the ethical evangelist, J. Exodus Hooper. Really excited to be joining all of you. So happy to have all of you. Do me a favor, click like and share. You know how we do. We just want to just go ahead and kind of reach out to somebody that we love. And the good news, I think we've got Instagram going on for the show tonight. So give some love to Justice for making Instagram happen. If you are joining us for the first time for our Instagram family, and it's been a minute, I know I normally send like chopped up versions of what's happening on Keep Living. I am excited to have you join us for Instagram.
Sorry for all the technical difficulties, everyone. Working to get Jay back on the stream as fast as we can. All apologies. Here we go. There we go. I thought we lost you there, Jay.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Well, we have you now.
Okay, I'm here. Hey, everybody. All right, where did we last leave off?
We left off where Cynthia's asking, let's hear what is about to transition to us, is what she said on the notes.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, I can't tell where we are, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the whole entire.
And we gotta make some noise.
Look, yes. Okay. So, like, thank you, Jess, because I was like, what happened? Am I here? Am I not? You know, I have a tendency to be like multiple places at once, and then I always say like I'm here and I'm there and I'm nowhere at the same time. Kind of felt like I was in this interesting like technological purgatory. Save me. So, well, yeah, it's been a very interesting transition. It has been. I mean, I literally have been involved with, just graduating. I'm trying to catch up with all the things that I've kind of put on, a semi back burner, because I really don't have a back burner. Everything is like full steam ahead. And I've been moving through, doing my board meetings and everything. And I'm sure many of you understand that feeling, really understand that feeling regarding like where you are, what you're doing, what's next. And for most of us, like everybody who celebrates a new year, if you really understand being in like the nonprofit world, or if you understand being in the in school, you kind of get stuck in a fiscal year, right? That fiscal year is like, it's kind of like your new year. So everything is starting right now, September or October. All of your budgeting plans are all starting right now, between now and October. You're kind of just twiddling in the thumb area, like, okay, August was a struggle. September is saying like, let's put a pitchfork in it. And like by the time October hits, we're kind of like back to the, kind of to the movement and the groove of life. So it's really exciting. I do love the time of fall. I don't know if anybody else loves fall like I do, but I love fall. It's actually kind of one of my favorite seasons. And I'm biased because my birthday's in the fall season. But that's a whole nother topic. And what's been coming to me is that we've got a lot of restrictions developing. There are new guidelines developing. We are living still in COVID. We're mask wearing, we're not mask wearing, we're vaccinated, we're not vaccinated. Don't be with this many people, don't be with that many people. And this is going to sound like a really interesting message today. Because the message today is really about don't be a stranger to opportunity. Like, don't be a stranger to opportunity. Maybe let's go as far as to say, don't even be a stranger to taking a risk on yourself. Right? I had the wonderful opportunity to sit with an amazing human being today. And I love sitting with amazing human beings. After my class I was teaching, it really was interesting that there was a young man who was listening and kind of, he admitted that he was eavesdropping on my class. I teach theater history at Ohio University. And I was particularly talking about performance. And today we got into the conversation about ritual. And y'all know I love a good conversation around ritual. And I love talking about the importance of being in space and time and getting lost in space and time. And one of the things that really today I began talking about was a lot of, heavy theological assertions. And this young person was, came around after class was done. I was sitting in Mount Vernon Park, and he stops and he says, "Can I sit down with you for a few minutes?" And I kind of just, smiled and I said, yeah, sure. I'm slowly but surely packing up, but I'm going to give this person this time. And he doesn't introduce himself. He's got a red hat on. It says it's a dusky kind of red hat that says Holy Nativity. He's got a dingy green shirt with that's kind of got a few holes on it and a few paint marks, so I can tell he's an artist. His hair is grimly dyed, and he's really, you can tell he's a night owl because he's got those really dark circles in everything, and but in many ways, such a handsome persona, such a gentle spirit, and I loved it. I loved his demeanor. He had tattoos all up his arms, and all of them were symbols of ancient wisdom. Like, fascinating. It was just fascinating. I mean, there were ancient symbols that, like, I had seen from when I had studied early archaic work, regarding those from the people of Crete, in the Mesopotamia, down to that with the Venus of Willendorf, and I mean, he had these amazing tattoos all over him. I just kind of was interested in how he found interest in my work at this present time. But to pick up there, we began to talk about an aspect of artistry which elated me. And that aspect of artistry was talking about dimensions. Because what better way to talk about dimensions than through ritual? And I thought to myself, wow, this is a great meeting of the minds. Here it is, I, a visual performance artist, having a conversation with a painter who wants to talk about dimension. And so he began to talk about 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, and we were in many ways, if anybody was a fly on the wall, they'd be like, "What are you talking about? I've never heard you talk like this ever." But it only takes art to unlock me, and maybe sometimes you never know what piques your interest. But as we talked, what began to unfold at that present moment was, as he unpacked the one-dimensional idea. A one-dimensional idea. A lot of us have this moment where we forget this, but the one-dimensional idea is probably one of the most significant ones, because it is the moment of possibility. The one-dimensional idea is rooted in possibility. For those who come from the art world, when we experience a one dimension, we actually, it is a flat plane. That means that it lays before us in order to engage. So there is a host of ideas that can take place on the picture plane. Now, most of us, we don't have the opportunity, and some of us in our society don't ever get a host of ideas, because a lot of times our stories are already, or many ways, our drawings of our lives are very flat. And somebody else has already told you how to draw out the idea for your life. And so we began to talk about, the dimensions, the first part of the dimension, which is possibility. And so if someone is engaging with being one-dimensional, they engage first with possibility. I want us to sit with the idea that we get a chance to engage with the possibility of who we are. But check this. The other beautiful component to this is that we run into the other aspect of a dimension that is also two-dimensional. And a two-dimensional moves us from the space of possibility to the space of relationality. When we begin to engage in a two-dimensional space, we begin to see ourselves in relationship to the possibility that we have created. So the possibility that has been formed from the first dimension has to now be in relationship with another. And that now puts us in a two-dimensional sphere, that we are in companionship, if not companionship, comparative relationship, not to be in the sense of actual, what we think of some of our terms when we use the word comparison, we immediately think that, oh, it's against this or in opposition to. It's not necessarily that. It's simply about basing ourselves on how we are in position to each other. And this relationality puts us in a two-dimensional relationship. Two-dimensional relationship. So one is possibility. The two-dimensional is the relationality. Now, as we begin to talk further, we have to talk about being three-dimensional. And three-dimensional oftentimes explains distance. Distance and in many ways form. For some of us who engage with three-dimensional work, we understand that there is a form that takes place. And that form is also not only just in relationship, but also explains our distance, our relative distance. How far are we? How do we occupy space together? And so I just thought this was fascinating. Now you're probably like, what does this have to do with anything about taking risk on myself? Stay with me for a few. If we come into the moment with a blank slate, we experience a possibility. So that's our one dimension. If we experience a two-dimensional moment, we have relationality, which puts us in companionship, right? And then three-dimensional is how we occupy space, distance, if you will. Now, these are ways of mapping out identity, if you will. Our identity, who we are becoming, who we are transitioning into. But we've got to learn how to do something. We've got to learn how to move from one dimension to the next. We've got to actually begin to sometimes take risk on ourselves by shifting out of spaces that are really no good for us and that have seemed to be mapped out for us. We have to begin to actually be the artists or the authors in much of our life experience. And we have to begin to look at the dimension of possibility and begin to see ourselves in relationship, network, collaboration, affiliation, association. Some of us need to be in company, cooperation with others. And as a result, we need to realize how we occupy that space. And there is our three-dimensional moment. How we fill up the space, how we in many ways create a volume within our position. How we begin to fulfill who we are in position. But check this out. Most people just stop at 3D. Most people only rest in the three-dimensional. Some people love to just stay right there. But can I tell you something? That's not enough either. Me and this beautiful human being went into talking about Now, the fourth dimension. Now, y'all probably thinking we talking deep, right? Fourth dimension is how we use our time. Anyone who has ever taken a fourth dimensional class or foundation experience is often focused on how one uses time. Time, as it relates to film, is oftentimes considered a four-dimensional project. Film is a four-dimensional project because it regulates time. And so here it is. Four-dimensional work has to happen because we in many ways now are not only fulfilling the volume with being three-dimensional, but we are in many ways expanding our territory to occupy time. We are in some way enhancing our ability to understand how we contribute to the time that we are in, that we in some way are now, because of the volume, because of the possibility, and because of the relationality, we know that we are chosen or called or positioned or in many ways placed in a time for now. That probably just snuck up on you. If it came up on you, I'm glad. Because some of us have been sleeping on our own possibility. Some of us have been sleeping on the best fact that we are the best relationship some people could ever have. Some of us are sleeping on the fact that we are so valuable that we deserve to occupy space. Some of us are sleeping on the fact that we know how to take this moment, take this time, and be useful and purposeful. It doesn't just stop there. Stay with me, y'all. Me and this artist continued to talk. And we went now from the first, the second, and the third, and the fourth dimension. We talked about the fifth dimension. Well, y'all gonna think I'm talking about the third eye. You're gonna think I'm probably talking about what is next after you get past the third and the fourth dimension. Clearly, we sit there and he says, I had to stop and I had to come back because I needed to rest in the memory of who you were. I needed something to drink. I had to sit with that. I need to rest in the memory of what you are. This was no longer about occupying space. This was no longer about being just in relationship. This had taken the very thing that I felt would be a possibility and had placed me back into center. The fifth dimension is memory. Let me go a step further. The fifth dimension is very close and very closely related to the legacy you leave on people. There is a legacy in all of us. We will leave them for our children. We will leave them for our constituents. We will leave them for our organizations. We will leave them for our students. We will leave them. And this fifth dimension leaves us to understand the power of memory. That memory is a call. To suspending both time and space. You think I'm talking some sci-fi stuff. I'm really not, but I can guarantee you've probably seen this stuff on Star Trek. I know, look, I know my humanists. I know some of y'all love Star Trek. Y'all love Star Wars. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking. If you have read a comic book, you know all about the suspension of time and space. One of my favorite characters in Marvel Comics is Nightcrawler. His ability to teleport and transport himself at the drop of a dime. All he has to do is have a memory of where he wants to be. He's been there before. If we start with dimension 1 and we think about the possibilities that we begin to express that we want to happen in dimension 1, because our mind was there, we can be there, right? Because our heart was there, we can be there. And some spaces, because things have already been situated based off of how we want to see ourselves, as long as we develop a healthy relationship with the possibility that we are, and develop the relationship that we need to be in order to be better, and then we realize how valuable we are in occupying the spaces that we are in, and then we get to a place where we offer the greatest moment in time when we are in those spaces, I guarantee you'll be taking the greatest risk on yourself by realizing that you are the greatest opportunity anyone has ever experienced, and that you being an opportunity in somebody else's life has the ability to also leave a legacy, and leave a legacy that holds valuable memory, and that there is no failure in taking a risk on yourself as long as you know what dimension you're trying to move forward in. You are your greatest dimensional possibility. You are your greatest dimensional relationship. You are your greatest moment in time and space. You are the greatest moment in memory. Some of us just have to wake up to the fact that we are filled with possibility. Dreams are not just dreams that should rest in the mind. Dreams are possibilities that you wake up and chase after. I don't know who that's for, but if you woke up just now, you've probably been dreaming with your eyes wide open. You've probably been dreaming with your eyes wide open. And it's time for you to wake up and realize the possibility that you are. Ashe, Lena. That's exactly. Yup, Ashe. We are our happening. If you can just tag somebody and just let them, you are your happening. You are your greatest happening. And tell them to take, literally, don't be a stranger to opportunity. Don't look at the fields that you've never looked at before and be like, they're not for me. The fields are white. The fields are open for you. Feel the grain for yourself. Know that there is plenty for you, and you are enough. Know that. I am so grateful for the artist who came in my presence today. I was so glad that he allowed me to experience him. Stop sleeping on yourself. I need y'all to just take a risk. Tell somebody to just don't be a stranger to opportunity. Don't be a stranger to risk. Don't be a stranger to any of those things. All the plans that you got set up in your mind, if they're in a one-dimensional space right now, I guarantee you, if you just go ahead and you sit back with it, you will be in a two-dimensional space. You will find yourself in the right relationship. You will find yourself in a healthy relationship that will help you grow into your greatest form. And that is the three-dimensional space. I'm just going to say it over again because I don't think a lot of people are getting this moment where they really need to sit with the fact that they are expanding and that you are expansive. You are expansive. Your brilliance is expensive. Your creativity is expensive. Your beauty is expensive. Your intelligence is expensive. Everything about you is expensive. Your goals are expensive. Your success is expensive. There is something powerful about that. I hear this and I'm sitting with this real fast, which is that too, and I don't mean to hold y'all, but make sure that while if you're in a one-dimensional moment, it looks chaotic, you're unsure, it feels like there's no possibility. It just means that the foundation is taking form. It just means that the foundation is taking form. You can't reach the fifth dimension. You can't reach being a legacy. You can't reach being a actual healthy memory unless you have a strong foundation. I come from a people of strong foundation. I've been able to do what I've been doing because I had a strong foundation. Don't get it twisted. 23rd and Hall, for those of you who don't know about that, 23rd and Hall in Richmond, Virginia was a good foundation. And the reason why I've been able to do what I'm doing, I know it's because over the years, I've been building up to reach my fifth dimension experience. Because that's where the memories rest. That's where the legacies are. And in that moment, I develop witnesses to the success. You'll develop witnesses because you realize that you are you are making impact. You realize that you are making an impression. You realize that there in many ways leaves you with not only just a presence, but a spirit that people want to be close to. You are worth every bit of the opportunity. So don't be a stranger to opportunity, especially when the opportunity is you. Especially when the opportunity is you. Especially when the risk is you. Especially when everything that you're hoping for and waiting for is all resting in you. It's a real thing. So I'm talking to that artist today. I give y'all the same words that were given back to me. I just got to come back around. I just got to come back around. That's what he said. And I just got to sit in the presence of this memory. Sit in this presence of this memory. Look at every moment of your life. you'll see those dimensions. Acknowledge them for what they are worth and live them out fully. Justice, kick it, love. Got me sweating in here, y'all. I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Love yourself in the process. And may goodness and sexy follow you all the days of your life. You are amazing. You are incredible. Don't be a stranger to the opportunity that you are.